Tyler, we're in the media business and Irish fans want explanations for everything. I think the three things that stood out to me: Marcus Freeman's future as head coach came up. Is Riley Leonard still the starter? And who's the guy following Marcus Freeman around with a folder? We'll go step by step. The Irish lost this game to Northern Illinois 16-14. I think we feel like the Irish offense has a ceiling, but Tyler, they're a long way away from that ceiling.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're on the first floor. You'd like to think that it's a three-story house or some sort of mansion. I don't know if maybe we were getting too big for our britches in the offseason, saying you bring in Mike Denbrock, you bring in Riley Leonard, you get these new wide receivers. The running game is going to be great because you have Jeremiah Love, who, by the way, looks the part. I mean, if there's anyone that you cannot blame anything on, it's probably Jeremiah Love. Jadarian Price is running the football well as well, but Notre Dame is just not doing enough offensively to complement that. Marcus Freeman talks about complementary football. That goes both ways. Offense helps defense and vice versa. But you've got to complement your own offense, right? The offensive line needs to play well, and Marcus Freeman says that all the time. The quarterback needs to play well. I mean, that's a big thing for me right now, Darren, and we were texting over the weekend, and I told you, I watched all 21 starts of Riley Leonard at Duke. I don't think I ever saw one this bad. Maybe Duke in like 2021. I think he started one game as a freshman, completely outmatched against Virginia Tech. He looked awful. That's because everyone at Duke looked awful. But this is Notre Dame, Darren. It was supposed to be different. And it seems like he's regressed as a passer, and he's late on his reads, and he's not making the right decisions. He's not seeing the field right. And when he does throw the ball downfield, it's either dropped by Jaden Greathouse or it's thrown wildly inaccurately and underthrown to Chris Mitchell over the middle. And by the way, you slow that down. Mitchell Evans is sitting just across the sticks for an easy first down, and Jaden Greathouse is running wide open right over the middle of the field. It's all of these things, Darren, that is the reason that this Notre Dame offense is very much on the first floor, maybe even in the basement, as opposed to on the second floor and climbing a ladder up to the third-story mansion or whatever have you. It's like you said, it's a long way away right now, and it's frustrating because it wasn't supposed to be that way.
After the game, I got this message, and this person wrote to me: after Leonard had that really good game for Duke to start the 23 season against Clemson, watched the tape the rest of the season, and he was average to below average, inconsistent release point, and inconsistent with his accuracy. And that's something we talked about in the offseason. He's a difference maker runner. He started the game that way, but for whatever reason, he was not used as much as the game went on. He's inconsistent with his reads and with his accuracy, and I think that showed up in this game. But I always said he figured out a way to win games. He had that it factor. He did against A&M, but that interception, the second one, was just inexcusable. And I think a lot of Irish fans are wondering about, you had Love and Price rolling pretty well, running the football. Love at 7.2 yards per carry, Price at 6 yards per carry. Love had 11 rushes. Price had 4. Is that enough touches for the Irish running backs?
No, it's 15 touches total. Audric Estime was getting 15 to 20 on his own last year. And then you had those two guys, Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, were even getting some run backing up Estime. And Estime was a bell cow by every definition of the word. I think we knew that Jeremiah Love was not going to be that. He was not going to be a 200 carry person this year, probably, just because you have Jadarian Price and you have some other guys in that room. But Darren, 15 rushes. I look at it this way. You can run Riley Leonard. You said it. It worked on that first drive. It's the only reason Notre Dame had a touchdown for, 2.5 quarters in that football game is because Riley Leonard was running the football so well. So do that. And I think there are questions about his health. Marcus Freeman kind of deflected that today. He was asked specifically about his health.
Agreed.
Talked more about who the person he is and the player that he is and what he expects from him. He didn't say anything about his health. I think there is something maybe going on there, Darren, that Marcus Freeman won't let on. So that's probably why we saw Leonard run less as the game went on. But Darren, if Leonard is going to run less, why were you not running Love more and Price more? Instead, you let Leonard pass more in a game that never had a margin of more than 7 points either way. Notre Dame led 7-0. It was quickly 7-7. The most that NIU ever led in that football game was by 6 points. And yet you're asking Riley Leonard to throw the ball 32 times in that football game with his inaccuracy issues, with Notre Dame's passing game issues. This is a wide receiver problem. Marcus Freeman said the protection was better in week 2 than it was in week 1. I'm not so sure about that. I'm not sure about the offensive line in this game. Just all of these different things. And to get back to the point about Love and Price, Leonard throws the ball 32 times. Those two guys only run it 15 times. Twice as many passes for a quarterback who is shaky right now than running attempts for two running backs who are very good football players. Four carries for Price is bad. I think 11 for Love is bad as well. It was just not conducive.
I remember the Monday before the Northern Illinois game, Marcus Freeman was asked, and a part of the question was that Riley Leonard, not one of his strengths is throwing the deep ball. And Marcus came right back and said, I really think one of his strengths is throwing the deep ball. And he said, I'm not a quarterback guru, but I do believe that is a strength. Well, Notre Dame is last in the country in 20-yard completions with 1, and they are last in the country in touchdown passes with 0. Their team pass efficiency is 130th in the country. I'm not a quarterback guru either, but I do remember the stat Kirk Herbstreit had on ESPN before the A&M game. Riley Leonard completed 23% of his throws on passes over 20 yards. That was before arriving in South Bend, and that's a major question mark. You have to wonder if teams are going to start stacking the line and just daring Notre Dame to throw the football deep.
Well, here's the thing: 23%. So basically 1 out of 4. He's basically 1 out of 4 this season because I think he's only thrown the ball downfield 4 or 5 times. I would take 2 out of 10 or 2 out of 9, somewhere in there, and then keep that 23%. If that's who he is, you knew that's who you were getting. But the fact that he's only gone downfield 4 or 5 times, I asked Marcus Freeman today, why is this passing offense having the same exact issues as it had last season? And that was with Sam Hartman, who prided himself and predicated himself on being able to throw the football downfield. We found out that this was a Notre Dame problem last year, Darren, when you bring in a guy who led the country in air yards and he couldn't get even half that at Notre Dame. I think he was way down there on the list in terms of quarterbacks throwing the ball downfield at Notre Dame. So wide receiver issue. And I mentioned Mitch Evans and Jaden Greathouse being open on that one particular play and Jaden Greathouse dropping a pass earlier in the game. But outside of that, Darren, I'm not seeing a whole lot of wide receivers running open for Riley Leonard, and that's probably getting in his head a little bit. I think that's why he's been a little late. You saw it on the first interception to Jaden Greathouse. Greathouse is wide open on a little stop over the middle that Notre Dame has been running until the lights go off all season this year because they can't do anything else in the passing game. But it was open that time, and Leonard hesitated. He waited, and then he threw it, and the one NIU defender got a hand on it, ended up in the hands of another Husky defender. I think that is a part of this being a little bit mental for Riley Leonard right now. He's seeing what's unfolding or not unfolding and saying, what do we have? Where am I supposed to go with this football? So has he been great? No, he hasn't even really been good. But I think this entire Notre Dame passing offense hasn't been good. And that's an 11-man operation on the field and then a lot of minds off the field. It's just all going wrong for Notre Dame in that regard right now.